everyone, my name is Booney. I'm going to make a video about ENFP perspective on INTP love and affections. Before I do, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate that. You'll get updates on typology content, specifically on ENFP perspectives, Enneagram 4, mental health resources, and behavioral health things as well. So in terms of my exchanges with INTP, I've been in the group for on and off for 8 years. They're my favorite type, and few of my favorite cousins are INTP as well. So I have a very biased, positive perspective on having INTPs love you and care for you. I made a list because I rambled a little bit and I want to try it again. So the things that I think about when I think about INTP love is this deep feeling of purity. There's just this essence of like, it's so pure and childlike when an INTP loves you, cares for you. It's very tender and vulnerable, and you want to kind of protect it, care for it, because it's so fragile. When you have an INTP care for you, you know that it is sincere. There's just something about the way they have exchanges with you where there's this conviction, this quiet confidence that when they say they care for you or they show they care for you, you know, I don't think that it is something to doubt at all that they do care for you. They are devoted. And on the other side of that, the sincerity and childlikeness and purity of what it is like to be around them when they care for you is this honoring of autonomy and freedom. So it's a really cool pairing where ENFP and INTP both need their own sense of space for adventure, recharging, processing in their own times, or doing whatever they need, because INTPs are so introverted and withdrawn as a personality type. I think that complements the ENFP need for freedom. Like, we don't like to be tied down really to be told what to do. We just kind of need that rock and grounding to come back to, like, let me go explore the world, let me go take over, let me do my thing, and then I'll come back knowing that you're always going to be there for me. And I think that INTPs appreciate that as well, because they are doing their own thing. Like, they're just doing whatever they usually do, and like, oh, there's another person in my life and they care for me, I care for them too. Okay, cool. Like, just don't change me, you know, just don't force me into being something that I'm not. And I think that's another reason for why the pairing is pretty cool match. On top of the autonomy and freedom, I think about that since we're both extrovert intuitive users, very strong users, I think that there's this component that exponentially adds to a sense of curiosity and awe. Both types are curious about the world, whatever interests that they are obsessed about, and they can have interesting, nuanced conversations with different perspective. Like, the INTP could probably share things about detail among detail, and like contradictions and stuff, and the ENFP can add the social component, the application, the humanity aspect, or the emotional pairings of something that they thought of while the INTP was talking, or conceptualizing out loud, or sharing their thoughts of a deep exploration of a world or a thing that they're reading about. Like, the ENFP can kind of like, oh, it made me think about this and this and this, and then the INTP be like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Like, so it's expanding horizon and perspective in different ways, and I think that's a very cool complementary thing to do. And on top of the curiosity and awe with whatever you're interested in as INTP or ENFP, I think there's also this layer of potential absent-mindedness or obliviousness, which I think is endearing. It's kind of cute. So I'll just throw in a little layer. Like, if you have attachment stuff in terms of relationship, like you don't know how to trust that well, or you've been abandoned or betrayed before in your early relationships or current romantic relationships, like being with an INTP, you're not sure. You may not be sure because they're not always overflowing with love or grand gestures that an ENFP might want to do. So if your preference for care and love is like someone to shout from the rooftops that they love you, you know, dramatically, that might not be something that you want to try. Or if you're curious anyways, you can, but like, just know that people, you can't change them, and that's how they show love. You know, there can be a compromise, but in general, that's how they're going to be. Another thing that I like about INTP support is, so this is like general friendships, group online romantic pairings with INTP, when they are supportive, they kind of allow you to be who you are without trying to change you. That's so cool. Like being with someone who honors and respects you, sees your individuality, and they don't want to change you. I think I would repeat it. Like it's awesome that they don't want to change you, because ENFPs are stubborn. We're very stubborn. We don't want to be changed for anybody. We'll adapt, and yet we are who we are. Our moral compass is so strongly tied to who we are that we won't change that. We won't. And yet we'll grow on our own time. I think that's what INTPs can offer individuals, people that they care for. Like, you do you. You know, I'm gonna do my thing. I'll do my thing and obsess over what I'm obsessed about, and you just do your thing. And if I can support you or find you resources, information, technology that can help you grow, I will do it. Because like that respect for space to allow people to be as they are, I think that's one of the biggest things that I love about INTPs. So on top of that, you know, in addition to being supportive of valuing individuality and growth, is that the discourse and the research that they'll do when they think of you. And I find it very endearing when that does happen, because INTPs can be so caught up in dissecting a concept or whatever they're fascinated or obsessed with, that whenever they do think of you, I think it's important and it's a big deal. Like you got caught into the matrix of their mind, you know, the constant chess game or whatever it is that their metaphor is in their head, whatever they're learning or exploring, you made it into their mind. And I think for me that is a similar way as like you made it into their heart if you got caught into their thoughts, and so they're thinking of you. I think that's awesome. And I'll pair that again with like your people's needs for space and attention. Some people need a lot of attention. I think that, you know, when you decide to have a friendship or pursue something with another person, it's important to understand, like, can they realistically give me the attention that I'm looking for, the attention that I actually need? You know, if they can, great. If they cannot, maybe you can meet a compromise where people can grow a little bit, but like you have to honor their energy needs as well, like how much time they need to recharge, how much they want to adapt and grow to be with you. Like that I think that's sometimes the big clash for introverts and extroverts, like pure extroverts, like ones who really need a lot of time and attention to feel important and loved. I think that, you know, that conversation must be had over and over again to see if it's compatible or not. If not, you can still care for each other, but like realistically, you know, it might not be a good pairing because it's just not going to work in terms of emotional and energy needs. Another thing that I was thinking about in terms of INTP and ENFP is the potential TI-FI clash. So if you're held like strongly moral values, your moral compass to your identity as an FI user, I'm going to say an immature TI user is going to pick and choose and break every thought that you have because it's quote unquote irrational. And if they care for you, they're going to learn to understand what's worth fighting for, what's worth picking apart, and just letting it be. Like over time, when you care for people, you understand that everyone has values or thoughts that may not make sense to you, and you just have to let it go. Like that's just who they are. And sometimes you can reach a middle ground of like, this is a topic I'm willing to discuss, maybe debate. These are the no-go areas, and we just have to respect that there's a difference. And so that is, I think, a huge potential clash where it's not going to work, but people will kind of have this like rush of idealism and maybe this connection that you think is intense love and passion, but it's not. You know, maybe it's lust. And the TI-FI for any pairing that has those functions maybe kind of put to the side. Like you can just I'll deal with it later when the time comes. Like really, that I think could be the downfall of a potentially idealistic match, but like realistically it won't work. Thinking about two NPs in a relationship or friendship is like thinking about the potential mess that can occur when both are messy in terms of like organizing space, time, being very random, not knowing how to schedule things very rigidly. So if you have two people who are NPs, high, strong, extroverted, intuitive users, like intuition users, like I think about like there's gonna have to be one room where it's gonna be okay for a mess. And then hopefully as they grow together, they can learn how to organize each other's schedules, sync things, and just like, this is the time we're going to be messy. This is the time we have to be structured. This is the time we're going to eat. Like a window of time. I doubt that they'll, I doubt that they'll be structured enough to actually eat at the same time every day. I just don't think that's going to work out, but it makes me laugh to think about. So those are the things I thought about for INTP, ENFP relationship dynamics. I want to go back to the first couple of things I talked about because it warms my heart to think about. The purity of an INTP it warms my heart. It's just so sincere. Like, to think that someone so childlike and care for you, it's so innocent to think about. Like you do want to protect it. You want to hold it secret and nourish and nurture it, and just you don't want anything in the world to damage it because it's so vulnerable and precious. So that's how I feel about INTP love. Yeah, I doubled the time that I thought it was going to take. So appreciate anyone who watched to this point. If you have any of your own pointers or observations for the two types of ENFP and INTP to get along, whether it's just platonically as friends or family or romantically, please let me know in the comments below. And I'd really appreciate a subscription to my channel or a like and share. That would really help spread information to people who might find it useful. So thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.